This is the only tutorial you'll ever have to watch about the Google Search Console, which is, by the way, the most important tool in all SEO. You'll go from beginner to expert. I'll show you everything, just like real SEO agencies use it. If that's good for you, let's dive in. Full summary of this video with all the tips and the resources I'll show there, so you don't have to take any notes. You can find this summary in the first link in the description. If that's good for you, let's dive in.
Hey guys, let's dive in. So now we arrived on the Google Search Console, and what we want to do when we arrive there is basically two things. First, we can add our domain by clicking here or with the URL. So imagine I own apple.com. I'll just do that, and then Google will ask me to select the record type, so like go to verify your domain ownership by basically going to where you bought your domain. So in my case, it's like Porben, and I need to go on Porben, check on my domain. So let's say this one, for example, here, and then add a field. So here the field is txt, which is recommended, and what you have to do is copy the text record below to your DNS configuration on apple.com. And here what I'll do on Porkbun is go to here, txt, right? Copy, and then verify, right? But I do not own apple.com, so that won't work, of course. But that's just a way to add your project there. Once you added your project, you will arrive on the overview here. And the overview is basically a mix of all the different pages. So basically on the overview, you'll be able to see your performance, your indexing, your experience, your enhancements, and all of that we will explain in this video in detail. I'll try to go as much in the detail as possible. So for the moment, I don't think it's relevant to actually talk about the overview because the overview is just a mix of all the different pages. What I would say is the most important page is the performance page. So if I go to full report, I click on full report, I see the performance. Here I'm on orexen.com. Orexen.com is a website of a friend of mine that is selling Minecraft plugins for people that want to create Minecraft servers. So it's basically a plugin that permits you to do a bunch of stuff when you have a Minecraft server. It's very niche, but it's working for a few years already. So what do we have here? Basically, here you'll be able to see total clicks, impressions, average click-through rate, and average position. So the total clicks is the number of people coming from Google that clicks on your website in the last 3 months. We can see here, it's based on time, of course. Impressions is the people that actually charge your link. So it doesn't really mean they sold your link on the page. But if I type, for example, best Minecraft plugin, here there's a bunch of links I'll never see as a normal user, like here, here, all of that I won't see them, but that count in the total impressions. So basically it means you're on the first pages, but you do not have necessarily the eye of the user, because the user will basically stay here and look at the first links, and that's all. So that's the impressions. The click-through rate is basically the ratio between the impressions and the total clicks, and the average position is like what's the average position you are on Google, right? Based on that, you have a few things, a lot of data here, so it will take some time for me to show you, but you have the queries, which is basically the keywords the people are typing when they are arriving and clicking on your website. The pages, so this is the pages that gets the most clicks and impressions. Countries, so well, where are people from? Devices, what do they use? Search appearances. Search appearances is a bit different. What search appearance does is basically it shows like result in a different way than just the list of links Google used to show you. Search appearances is in general not for classical software products. It's more for e-commerce, for shopping, this kind of stuff, and dates. So basically here we have just like the data based on each date, right? So this website, we can see here that this website gets approximately like a few clicks each day. So if I check here, I see that overall 65 clicks today. So yeah, this website is like not incredibly popular, but it's really niche. And when we check on the keywords here, we can see, okay, what are the top actually keywords by clicks? We can see it's Oraxen, Oraxen plugin, Oraxen wiki, Oraxen Discord, etc., right? So this is what we call branded keywords. It's like people that already know the brand Oraxen, they know what they want. They want to find things around Oraxen, and they type Oraxen and they found Oraxen, which is like, of course, very, very important for any business. But this is not in general the things we actually want to rank on, because I mean, of course, we want to rank on that, but we also want to rank on stuff where Oraxen is not present and people discover us via Google, right? Here, how do we actually find all of these keywords? We can use the filters here. On the filters, you can see like the different search types, and in general, like you want to stay on web because the rest is like not really used on a commercial in a commercial way. Except if you're media, you want to appear on news, but in general, we want to stay on web. So here, we're gonna filter by the query, and we can use different, like query is the keyword. We can use different ways to actually not have Oraxen, for example. So what I want here is the non-branded keyword. So I'll say, okay, queries does not contain Oraxen. And here we can see that there is a bunch of queries that do not contain Oraxen, and so are not branded keywords here. So we can see Miti Krupixbil, which is basically something related to Minecraft. And on that, my average position is not really good, right? It's like around 9. So everything that is not branded is not bringing a lot of traffic, but also isn't like because I'm not good on the position and the overall impressions here is low. So there's pretty much like a lot of opportunities here in order to make it bigger. For the moment, Oraxen is really just this website. There is no other pages. There is just this website. And yeah, here this is a way for us to actually find opportunities, right? So we use the filter and we can like extract different queries, try different stuff in order to find the opportunities directly in the Google Search Console data. So here, the other thing we can do is actually not going on queries but on pages. So for example, here we have the main pages, and then we have like pages around the documentation of how we use the product. What we want to do is check, for example, the main pages here. Okay, this means for this page, so we added the filter of the main pages with the exact URL. This means for this page, this is all the clicks and the total impressions and the average click-through rate, etc. So here we have all the data just for this page, which is Oraxen, Oraxen plugin, Discord, Minecraft, etc. So here we have basically the same data because this website is very, very easy. So if we want to show another website, for example, this one that is pretty new, here we can find something. We can find that Reliance II, we have few queries. We have the branded query, which is Reliance II. Basically, Reliance II is a software that is an AI SEO agent that will make your AI SEO for you and auto-blog for you. This is something that I'm building. And here, we can see that the first query is Reliance II. The second query isn't branded. It's something around vibe coding. And the third query is Bing Search Checker, Sub Checker Bing. And here, well, we see a bunch of stuff that aren't branded, and this is where like there is stuff to search here. So how do we do that? let's check on the Bing search checker keyword. We can see, this is pretty new, that we have a bunch of impressions here, right? And all of these impressions do not lead to any click for the moment, so it means like the average position is bad, so that's the reason why. But like it's only the beginning here. So what I could do as the SEO guy behind Relance AI is trying to make this page better. So here I'm using this page, and on this page we can see I have a bunch of impressions from all of these keywords. So Bing Search Checker, Search Checker Bing, Bing Search Tool, Bing, etc. Why? Because this page, so the Bing Search Checker, is basically a free tool I made where you can do something like apple.com and best iPhone, and here it's gonna permit you to check your rank on Bing, right? It will take time, but whatever. Here, this is pretty new, and we can see I have a bunch of impressions. What do I need to understand from this data here is, okay, I have a bunch of impressions because my average position is bad, but this means I can, here on my page, make my title way better, my meta title way better. So here we can go there, make my title better, make my description better, and have backlinks go to this website so I can to this page so I can make the page like higher in terms of average position, right? So that would be the way to interpret this data. So I'm giving you this as an example just to show you how powerful it is to actually have all of this data, because this data isn't like the data from Ahref or SEMrush, these SEO tools. This is real data from Google. All of these SEO tools like Ahref, SEMrush, what they're doing in the backend is that they are basically taking signals from keywords from different things on the internet and extrapolating this data to your website and to keywords in general. And here, Google, this is real data. This is data from Google, and they collect every data from every user. So this is really way more valuable in terms of data quality than Ahref, SEMrush, etc. So this is probably one of the best way to actually analyze if what you're doing is working, but also like what to optimize. And here I gave you an example of something I will need to optimize here. So other technique would be to actually use comparison. So what we can do here is by country, for example. Let's say I want to target France. In this case here, I can see that I'm not really good at targeting France. First, I would probably have to have all my website in English, in French, and here you can basically check all of the countries you want to target and compare versus United States, for example. How does it change? And we can see that like here, as I'm in English, but basically my United States impressions are well better, and even though the click-through rate isn't as good, just because I have friends in France that are actually checking the website here, but in terms of like impressions and the way this is ranking, we can see like United States is better for the moment. Just to show you that you can like do a bunch of things with all of these features here. What you can also do, and that is very valuable in my opinion, is, for example, we're gonna go back to our accent, which has way more data. We can export here, download in CSV, then go to ChatGPT or whatever tool you want to use. Here I open and I'll say, okay, hey ChatGPT, I'll give the CSV. So here is the queries, so it's the keywords, right? And I'll say, hey ChatGPT, please give me the branded keywords versus non-branded keywords opportunities based on this CSV found on the Google Search Engine for oraccent.com. Give me the best opportunities non-branded, you found, and propose me title and meta description of the page that will target the other non-branded keywords. So here, what I'm doing is basically I'm doing brainstorming with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will be able to do some keywords, so some data analysis here, and give me some of the opportunities. And that's really cool to have all of this data, being able to export all of this data and use ChatGPT or whatever AI system in order to understand, okay, what keywords I want to target, what are the different keywords here. You can actually do it manually with your own brain, right? Using the filters, but you can also just export everything, send it to ChatGPT, and then discuss with him, right? So here, he directly understood what is like Oraxen. He saw here Orexan, which is a typo of people, but still. And here we can see mid-curble, and like mid-curble is just a way, like it's something around Minecraft, so it's something really niche. But here we can see, okay, we can do a page that is actually targeting this keyword, right? Because my average position is 8. Probably I have a bunch of impressions, so 425, but I can probably rank first on this because I don't have any pages that is actually targeting that, right? So here, like ChatGPT is proposing me all the things I can do. And this is why Google Search Console is really cool, because it permits you to export real data directly and put it into ChatGPT, into whatever, right? So that's a bit about everything for the performance section. Now we're gonna pass to the rest of the Google Search Console. Just before going to the rest of the video, I just want to remind you guys that you have the ultimate Google Search Console summary of this video, where I'll share everything I just said about the performance report, but also about the rest of the video, so you don't have to take any notes. In order to get it, it's free, and it's the first link in the description. Back to the tutorial. Now, let's focus on the indexing page of the Google Search Console. So the indexing category will permit you to understand what is indexed by Google and how can I make sure the page I want to be indexed are actually indexed by Google. So this is how it works. Basically, if you go to /pages here, to the page, well, you'll be able to see over time what is indexed and not indexed. And in this case, the case of freelance.ai, I see 100 pages not indexed and 19 only indexed. So I can think, well, I have a huge problem. What's happening? That's why it's very important to actually check the detail. If I check the detail, I see, okay, I have these pages that are not indexed because they have a redirect. So if I check the page, I can see, okay, HTTP freelance.ai isn't indexed. Well, yes, because it has a redirect to HTTPS freelance.ai, which is probably way more secure. So this is what we want. So this is not a problem if it's actually not indexed. It's the same case for app.freelance.ai/onboarding/tags/agents, because this is actually my app where you have to log in. So it's not indexed by Google because you have to log in, and the redirection is to the login page, right? So it's the same thing for all these pages. So I look at that and I think, okay, that's okay. I don't need actually to fix anything because it's just behaving the right way. So it's not because it's not indexed that it's bad. In that case, here, if I have something to actually change, I go to validate fix and it will change it. Now, it will actually no, it will not change it, sorry. It will crawl again and make sure it's indexed. So now, same thing, we're gonna check, okay, we have 83 affected pages that are indexed here. Why is that? Apparently they are crawled but not indexed, just because here, if I check all the examples, I see that this is not really pages. This is CSS stuff that is used by my website in order to have a good experience, but this isn't really pages. So it's okay that it's not indexed. That's even good that it's not indexed, because I don't want to index that, right? So basically, if I check all of that, I can see like most of the things that aren't indexed are in general not indexed on purpose. So that's good. You want to use this page to make sure of that, to make sure the page you want to be indexed are indexed, and Well, the rest you don't really care. How to do that? You just check all here that all the good pages are indexed, so we can see the Renan's II homepage, the pricing, the blog here, everything's to be indexed. So I'm good to go, right? Now we can do the same thing with the video. And the video is basically the same thing, but not indexing pages, but videos. And here I can see that I have two videos that aren't indexed on my website. View data about index video, I don't have any index video. Why? Because this isn't on a watch page. So what do they mean by that? Is that these videos are not on a dedicated page that is done only for the video. Because if I check here, the video is actually here. It's on the website here, on the homepage. So yes, the homepage is not made only for the video. But I don't really care about my video being indexed here. I want just my video to show for my users directly on the homepage. So that's again okay if it's not indexed. So you want again to use this indexing part of the Google Search Console to make sure your website is indexed and the right pages are indexed, but then the rest you don't really care. What you want to make sure is really the right pages are indexed, and you want to follow that they are still indexed, because they can be de-indexed at some point. Now you have the sitemap. Here you have one sitemap for my website that is basically showing what pages I have and how frequent are the updates on these pages. And here you can see that, okay, Google Search Console has this sitemap and I do not have any other sitemap. And what you can do, if you're an e-commerce business or a business that have an enormous amount of pages, you can actually make different sitemaps that link to each other. So, for example, reasons.ai sitemap.xml will link to other sitemaps that are, for example, other product sitemaps, the collection by sitemaps. If you have a very, very big website, it permits you to actually make things in terms of folder and organize everything the right way. It's not the case for me, and it's not the case for the majority of people, but I think it's interesting to actually mention it. Now, if we go to removals, you will probably not use this part, but it permits you to actually remove the indexation of a page for 6 months. Why you would do that? For example, if a lawsuit happens and someone asks you to delete a part of your website, you want to delete it, of course, but you also want to de-index it so it's not findable anymore. And you could also think about cases where you shared some content that you didn't really want to share, or passwords or whatever. Well, you again want to de-index it, update the page, and make sure it's not available on Google anymore. Here, outdated content is basically the same. Is like you don't want Google to share outdated information, and sometimes Google will index a page and not come back to it and use it in snippets. So what is a Google snippets? Let me show you. Google snippets here is this. So this is basically the ancestor of the AI overview. This is for Google a way to give the response directly, and it's like used a lot. What you want to say here is basically create a demand to say, okay, this content is outdated, that content is outdated. It's not available for me because the website is pretty new, but yeah, that's how it works. And safe search is the same thing. Is for you to make sure that some of contents are not available to some of the audience. If you have probably a porn website, you want to make sure it's not available to people under 18, this kind of stuff. It probably doesn't concern you, but at least you know it. Now let's go to experience and core web vitals. Basically here, it's a way for you to make sure your website has a good UX in terms of how fast it charges, how mobile friendly it is, this kind of stuff. And if it's not the case, you just want to fix it, and you're gonna upload the report, check what's good, what's bad. You can add it to the graph. In general, honestly, you don't have a lot of problem here. But if we want to actually go to a website that probably has more problem, okay, maybe this one. Yeah, So we can see in general, like my website don't have problems just because I use Next.js, which is a pretty modern technology. But if you use WordPress of some old CMS, it's possible you have some problems here. You have to fix them. It's not incredibly hard to fix them, and it's not incredibly big in terms of weight in SEO if you just are good, right? So don't waste too much time on this experience page. Again, this is just a way for you to actually understand if you have problems, and if you don't have problems, you really don't need to pass too much time here. If we go back to Relance.ai here, what we might want to pass a bit more time on is the FAQ section. And this FAQ section is basically a way for you to check what's the structured data Google indexed for your website. What do I mean by structured data? Basically, Google has a structured data where they're able to check special parts of your website and show to the user in a particular way in AI overviews outside of your website. It's not actually for ranking, but it's in general to show outside of your website. It's used for the Google snippets, and this kind of tool also answer, like if I type a question like who is Gengis Khan, I will probably have, I go to all. Yes, here I have a snippet of Wikipedia, and all this information are taken from Wikipedia. And because they used an enhancement, a structured data. In my case, on Relance.ai, I do have a structured data. And my structured data is FAQ. So it's just common question people could ask on Relance.ai. And if I go here on Relance.ai, I can see my FAQs there, with the response and the answers and everything, and Google understood it as so, and is actually understood it as an FAQ and indexed it as an FAQ. So this is what I want to see here. I know if I want to inspect a certain page indexation for both the FAQ and the pages, etc., I can use URL inspection here. And for example, on this one, I know that I do have an FAQ, and it didn't show on the FAQ page, but here apparently, okay, the page is indexed and the FAQ also, so I'm good to go. Even if it doesn't show here, at least I checked with the URL inspection tool that everything is working. URL inspection tool is pretty useful because once you finish to actually work on a page, you want to make the URL inspection tool here, click on the page, retrieving data from the Google index, and test live the URL to make sure, okay, does it work, right? Does the indexation, all the work that I just did, does Google sees it? And this is like the way you're also debugging the indexation part. Yeah, so that's how it works. Now, security and manual actions. So security and manual actions, you don't want to touch this, and if you do need to touch it, well, it's because you had a problem. Basically, manual action is when Google saw manually that you were doing some black hat SEO or some things that aren't following the Google rules, and is flagging you as as a cheater, basically. And if that's the case, you are in big trouble because Google will downgrade your website. And yeah, you will have actions here if you are in this situation, and I hope it's not the case. It's basically the same for security issue. This is when you are in your website got hacked, you have some spam content on your website, this kind of stuff. Here you have problems. Again, you don't want anything to do with this section, hopefully, but I can still present it to you so you can understand. Now, links is basically, it's an important page for you to understand, okay, who is linking to my website, and as you already know, links calling to your website is very, very important for SEO, and probably the most important thing for SEO, which is after content, which is basically, okay, what website is trusting you here? What website is actually linking you? And in that case, from Relance.ai, it's a pretty new website, so I don't have a lot of things. I have SaaS Advisor, GraphGPT, Reddit.com. Okay, super. If I go to, for example, Oraxen.com, which is the business I took as an example at the beginning of the video. Here I have Spygot, Reddit, Built by, etc., etc. And all of this website, especially this one, is linked to my product. It's a plugin marketplace actually and forum for Minecraft users. So it's very, very relevant to have this kind of backlinks here. So how to use actually this page? How I use it mainly is I check what are the top link pages. This is basically a way for you to understand, okay, what are people sharing when it comes to my website? And in this case, it's apparently the documentation, so docs.orxn.com, and a specific page on the documentation. Based on that, I can understand, okay, people are already sharing this content. I want to make this content way better so people will continue to share it, and I want to make some outbound about it. So go see websites that can be interesting, that are not in these top linking websites, because that are not linking to me yet, that would be interested to share this kind of content to their users. So in this case, I could say, okay, I go there, I check that, okay, here's my top linking websites. Let's do it in ChatGPT. Here are my top link website. Could you find similar website in the Minecraft plugin community that I could ask a backlink from, knowing I'm Oraxen.com. Here, GPT will probably search on Google for similar things. And for example, this website apparently is something that is relevant to this industry, and we could go to this website and ask for a backlink to one of the pages. Same for Polymart here, same for Build By. Well, it's already the case here, but the idea here is that, okay, here you understand, okay, who is already targeting your website, what are they targeting? And then you can go a bit deeper if you want. So, okay, who is targeting what? So, in this case, the target page, like the website that use this targeting page are these ones. And you can like go a bit deeper in the details, but this page overall will permit you to go deeper in the data to understand, okay, what will be my backlink strategy going forward. That's important, but probably to me, like the performance part is way more important, because here you have some data about what's actually happening and working, but I mean, the links is already important. Here you have achievements. It's basically useless. It's just a way for Google to gamify. You see here, gamify how it works, but it's not really useful. Here you have settings, and in the settings you can check other data that aren't like the most important data. Owner verification, so you can go back to actually verify your domain. Association, here what you can do in association is basically you link other assets you have on the web, so it can be a Play Store app, it can be an Apple Store app, a YouTube channel, this kind of stuff. Change of address, this is really important if you actually change the domain. So instead of freelance.ai, I will move to freelance.com, for example, and then here I'll need to use this part and select the new sites and everything. But probably, well, this is not something you will use that often. And bulk data export, this is a way to export all the data and use it elsewhere, so you can actually do some data science on top of it. That's more advanced thing. Here in the crawling, you still have some other crawling stats that you will use approximately the same way you used the indexing pages here. Basically, here you have total crawl requests, and you can see, okay, what requests are failing, why. And in that case, I have a lot of requests to app.freelance.ai, which isn't very useful because app.freelance.ai is mainly a redirect. But still, well, I can, based on that, saying, okay, I have to change my robots.txt. So I go there again. And here you can check all of your robots.txt and make sure they are actually like the right one. And in that case, you can see app.freelance.ai doesn't have one, but I just updated it recently. So it should work. And here you can see that I have one. So basically I have to wait a bit for the next crawling and make sure I have one. But you see, you use basically this crawling data the same way you will use the indexing data here, which is make sure what you actually want to be indexed is indexed. Okay, that's the end of the tutorial, but as you know, you don't have to take any notes. In order to remember everything I just said here, you have the ultimate Google Search Console summary of this video, where you find all the resources I talked about in this video. It's the first link in the description. Like and comment, and see you in the next video.